The Clever Little Girl and the Bear, a Russian folktale retold by Stephen Corrin. Natasha lived with her mother and father in a little wooden house right at the edge of the forest. One fine morning, Natasha and some of her friends went into the forest to pick berries, and Natasha, wandering off just a little, was happy to find a thick bush simply loaded with luscious ripe berries. She got so busy and excited plucking the mouth-watering fruits that she quite forgot the time. So, when she had filled her basket to overflowing, and she looked around for her friends, they were nowhere to be seen. She wandered about looking for them, here, there, and everywhere, and in the end she found she was lost and had no idea which path led back to her home. Through a clearing in the trees, she espied a little cottage in the distance, and decided to go there and ask for help to find her way back. She knocked and knocked and knocked, but there was no reply, so she pushed the door open. Seeing a cozy-looking stove, she sat down next to it to have a rest and get warm, for the evening air was now quite cool. After a little while, in walked a big brown bear. It was his cottage, and this was where he lived. He was quite delighted to find the little girl there and asked her name. "I'm called Natasha," she said, but inside she felt rather scared, for he was a big bear, and his voice, though friendly, was gruff. "What a pretty name," said the bear. "A little girl like you is just what I need to keep my house nice and tidy and cook my meals. So please stay here, my dear, and please don't try to run away while I'm out, for if you do, I shall have to run after you and catch you and perhaps eat you up." Natasha was terribly frightened and began to cry. "Whatever am I to do?" she thought. "Perhaps for the time being I'd better do what the bear asks and work out a plan to make my escape." So for a few days she looked after the bear's home, kept it nice and tidy, and cooked his meals while he was away in the forest. But all the time, day and night, she kept thinking of different ways of getting back to her father and mother, and one morning she hit upon a clever idea. "Bear," she said to him one evening after he had enjoyed the meal she had prepared for him, "could I please ask you to take a present from me to my dear parents?" "Gladly," replied the big brown bear. So Natasha baked a very large batch of tarts and put them in an extra large size basket which she found in a corner of the kitchen. "Of course you'll be able to carry this basket of tarts on your back," she told the big brown bear, "but please promise me that you'll not eat a single one on the way. I'll climb up on the roof to keep an eye on you." "Of course, I promise," said the big brown bear. While he was getting ready to leave, Natasha crept quietly into the basket, making herself as tiny as possible so as to be quite hidden by the large batch of tarts. Then the big brown bear hoisted the basket on to his broad back and set off for the village where Natasha's parents lived. "Nice lot of tarts that girl must have baked," he thought, staggering just a tiny bit under the weight. He sat down on a tree stump to rest for a while, his mouth watering as he thought of the delicious tarts so near to hand. He hummed a little tune and found himself singing, "Now in safety, out of view, I see no harm to steal a few." And this he promptly did. But from under the tarts came Natasha's voice. "You may think you're out of view, but I've just seen you steal a few. Your roof, brown bear, is good and high, so nothing 'scapes my eagle eye." The big brown bear got up rather sharply, somewhat taken aback. My, he growled to himself, "she can certainly see a long way." But after walking a little way, he sat down again, thinking that this time he couldn't possibly be seen, and took another tart out of the basket. But after he'd taken only one bite, out came that voice again. "Caught you again, you greedy bear. Stealing presents isn't fair. Not another, don't you dare." The bear gave a jump and exclaimed, "That girl, she must have magic sight. She's really put me in a fright. She seems to see right through the trees. She's left me trembling at the knees." He now set off in great haste to the village, and when he got to Natasha's house, he set down the basket and knocked at the door. 4 dogs appeared, barking their heads off. They had smelled the bear, and Natasha too. They rushed at him and snapped threateningly at his legs. The big brown bear was so scared that he took to his heels and escaped into the forest as fast as he could. When Natasha's mother and father opened the door, out jumped the little girl and fell happily into their joyful arms. What a clever little girl she was!